Hey everyone, it's me, Nathan from Nathan's Away. Sorry, I just got some dental work done, so I'm having a hard time talking right now. Uh, yeah. So it is 5 a.m. I had dental work yesterday, not today, because that would be abnormally early. And I'm finishing up my cup of smoky black tea. It's really good. I already tried to record this video once today, and I've wanted to talk about this topic for a while, but every time I went to sit down or get something ready, I would lose the inspiration or I would lose the motivation to do it. And I feel like this is an important to help people who are dyslexic, who watch my videos. I see my whole self as a bunch of shards and 1,000 different shards. And dyslexia is just one itty bitty tiny shard, but that shard broke from that one shard. A bunch of things broke off from that, and some of the things in my life that I currently deal with, like imposter syndrome, confidence, self-doubt, what else? Stress, daily struggles, anxiety. When I was doing shadow work, when I was looking deep into shadowy bits of myself, I saw where some of those stem from. And I feel like if I talk this out, it wouldn't help just me, it would help a lot of people. So let's talk. I was diagnosed or told. I don't know if they diagnose it. I was told I had dyslexia, so once I did that, they gave me an IEP. They put me in the special educated program for my 12 years of school. And yeah, so growing up, 90s to 2000s, I found when I was young and they were teaching me how to read, I found that I had a hard time. Like, I remember, or my grandparent was teaching me how to draw A's and B's and C's, and it would just, handwriting would be hideous. I mean, kids, but I found that I had a hard time communicating or putting together that. And it took me a long time to develop spelling and writing. And I feel like getting that rough of a start or kind of set me up for future issues. But luckily my parents caught this early on, and I went through the school system. Now, when it comes to dyslexia, a lot of things affect it. So when I look at words or when I look at a book or instructions, it's like a game of Boggle where you shake up all those letter dice and you try to find the correct words to get the information into your head, or vice versa, like trying to get the information out of your head and by shaking up everything and trying to put it out. That is the way I look at how I see it. I don't see letters backwards. I mean, I do find myself writing some letters backwards, but it's a thing. But it is more about the communication from what is written or what I want to write, getting to my brain, the source of things. And I don't think a lot of people understand that it's not just about seeing things backwards, or it's just processing that information or communicating the information that you're trying to read or put forth. So it's about processing information. And early on, early on, starting school, it's hard to really connect that. So when it came to instructions, I would get lost, or when it came to gym class games, I would get lost. And it kind of set me up for issues further on. So my first early memory was where I dealt with this was the first time I played kickball in elementary school. I remember this distinctly because the principal came out to recess and got a game of kickball going. I was like, oh, that looks like fun. And so I kicked the ball and I ran. So everyone was running that way to the bases. I was running this way to the bases. And so I didn't know at the time, and they were like, you're out. I'm like, wait, what? I got to the base. And I remember distinctly this person pointing to me. I'm like, wait, what? Like, caught me on blast. And that was the first time this happened, and it continued onwards from instances like in middle school, we were playing baseball, and I found that I bat left-handed but throw right-handed. And my gym teacher didn't really understand that concept. So, I feel like that kind of triggered something, because the exact words I remember to this day is, what, you can't tell your left from your right? And at the time, that was a struggle for me. Learning left from my right struggled all the way up until middle school, when I broke my left middle finger, and it still snaps. See? So that fixed that. And then things like learning to tell time on an analog clock was tough. Thank God they didn't try to teach me the 24-hour clock. I feel like that would have been miserable. But finding those things where the earliest memories where confidence has really been put to the forefront in my mind. Because when you're a kid, I mean, as an adult, you don't think about it. Like, I haven't thought about those stories until I was digging deep into why I have anxiety, or why my confidence is horrible. And dyslexia is at the forefront, but seeing where it all began and going forward from there, and looking at these the smallest details, the stupidest smallest details, and how they can impact the bigger picture. So there were a lot of things like that, and like left from my right, not being able to take direction or follow direction or process direction, from, yeah, telling time left from right. Yeah, there were a lot of moments like that where confidence at that young age was questioned or and not built up. So going forward a little bit, there was this god awful book that my mom picked up. I don't think she ever read it. Maybe a couple pages or a couple chapters, if that. But for years, and it's probably still kicking around, it was called The Gift of Dyslexia. I've never read it. I have so much spite for that book because just the title alone, seeing dyslexia as a gift, was so toxic for me growing up, because I would see that a lot of people, not just as my mom, would say, "Oh, dyslexia is a gift. These famous people had dyslexia." I'm like, I truly don't care who has dyslexia. Like, I'm the one struggling with it. I'm trying to deal with it. I'm not focusing on these people as inspiration for this. I think, honestly, I think if someone at the time pulled me aside and was like, "Listen, you got a raw deal and you're gonna have to fight hard for this," which I think in time people started saying that, but at that point I feel like it was too late. I felt really jaded about people like trying to force this positive light on dyslexia when it was a huge struggle for me. And so I still have a big, I'm still jaded about that book and that, but seeing dyslexia as a gift, I can now, as an adult, I can see how that is, but I still don't connect with it. I can see their thought processes, but yeah, no, I see it as a struggle. I see it as anything but a gift at the moment. And when it came to this toxic positivity, I really didn't want to hear it. I think there was a time where if I heard someone say, "Hey, oh, this person's famous and they have dyslexia," I would have snapped. Yeah. So going forward, I had wonderful teachers that truly tried to help, but sometimes it just didn't. Like, reading, writing, English and math were my two least favorite classes because it was just, I would struggle. They would give me books that I needed to read, and I never related to the books. I never felt connected. One book I hated back then was Of Mice and Men. That book I just remember being in English class, being forced to read out loud, which one thing I really hated being forced to read out loud. That was, see, if teachers tailored to people with learning disabilities, I feel like calling someone out to read was no. Um, I remember one class as we each would read a page and then it would go to the next person, and so when it got down to it, I would count, like I would uh where I usually sat, I would probably be like fifth in line to read, and I would literally count pages and just mentally prepare myself, or I would just say to hell with it, and the teacher would get mad because I wasn't paying attention or I wasn't following along on and that also was very, for a teacher to do that to a kid, saying, why aren't you following along, instead of, okay, what's going on here, why aren't you getting this? I'm like, this is not how I learn. But again, I didn't have the communication skills to say that. I, at the time, I couldn't stand of that book of Mice and Men, and I still haven't read it since. I bet if I reread it, maybe my opinion changed. But my love of reading didn't start until after I got out of high school. Because high school was rough, because I was dealing with uh, teenage issues. I was dyslexic as fuck. I had to work twice as hard as other people just to get a average grade like a C or a B. And it was a fucking struggle. And I was a lost kid. I was pounding energy drinks. I was probably depressed and dealing with a lot of emotions. I was okay, so my younger self would hate me for saying this, but I was emo. I mean, granted, I never really listened to emo. It was always punk rock or new metal. But I'm sorry, kid. You were emo. Look at me talking my past self, but I would have always considered myself goth or punk because that's what I listened to. But he was a lost kid. My younger self was a very lost kid who didn't know what to do with life or where life was taking him. All he knew is he wanted to hang out with his friends, go to shows, and be done with that small town. And it took me, what, 10? It took me 10 years to finally get out of that damn town. Yeah. 10 years after I graduated high school to get out of that damn town. Ugh. But yeah, it's a thing. But coming out of high school was when I felt I had the freedom to really teach myself. Now, it didn't come easy. I mean, I was going to community college and I was dealing with a lot of things in community college, like an abusive relationship. When I turned 21, it was an abusive relationship I was in. It was math. My math courses were brutal. it was more of so college was more of a figure out for yourself type situation, which I'm happy I got that, but I wish I didn't have to spend money on a degree that I'm probably not going to use to get there. But I found ways that help myself. Like, I even in high school I listened to audiobooks, books I wanted to read, and that really helped. And then going forward, I would listen to the audiobook while reading, and learning how to pace myself with a book really helped. It got me to the point where I could read a full book back to back within a month. And the first time I read it without assistance of an audiobook, I'm like, this is kind of working. And I learned that with stress really factors in. It really factors in, and it kind of, if the higher stress I am, the more boggled the information gets, whether it be coming out of my brain or into my brain. My stress levels affect what I'm doing. I figured that out, and I learned how to deal with it. Now I have a lot of audiobooks, and I learned that with Kindle, I can sync it up and I can follow along. I can pause the audio, read, and I found that using a Kindle actually helped me more than when I had a book, because I could zoom in and flip to the next page. And yeah, that's a very recent discovery. But again, going into college, it has taught me that I have to find ways for myself, and that is more beneficial. Now, I have a lot of struggles, especially when it comes to new jobs. I had a job for the past 3 years at an ice cream shop, and having hands-on doing work like that, some things are very, like, at the beginning it's very hard for me to process things. Like, good luck with codes. Like, if I have to type something up on a register and there's a code I have to type in, like, or like at a deli. I worked at a deli once, and all their cheeses had like different codes, and like Swiss cheese was like 3051 or something like that. And you had to memorize all of it, and memorization is not my strong suit. It really isn't. And the first couple weeks to a year, I struggle with. I had a job as a host, and the map that they had of where to seat people, I had people switch tables. I had people trade sections, and that was very damaging. And figuring out and learning how to cope with some things is, like, it's gonna be a lifelong thing. Things I've noticed. I noticed that a lot of people mean well when they hear you have dyslexia and they want to help. Even back then, like, my spelling is horrible. Like, I have to have people, like, if in high school, or no, in college, high school, college, I had a blog where I would type album reviews out. I had a friend, Jane McKay. I would send her my article and ask if, hey, can you edit this if I thank you or if I promote your stuff on my website? And she said, yeah. So I would trade that, and my typos were horrible. So I had people edit. I still have people look. So when it comes to like writing resumes or that, I always have to have someone double and triple check it and make sure it's up to date and it looks good. And then when I do projects or when I help my dad out, like, there's certain things I learned I can't do. Like, I can't do anything in a straight line. It always curves one way or another. Or when I'm measuring something, it's always crooked. And stuff like that is it hinders confidence a little bit. Like, all the struggles in my life, I feel it has helped me figure out how I learn. But a lot of the damage that I went through in high school, not just with this dyslexia, it has kind of hindered my confidence and has me not necessarily at a standstill with imposter syndrome. It just is always there in the back of my mind. My anxiety is a reason why I don't drive, and I don't think people understand that it's a real struggle. I feel like I know what's best for me. In trying to communicate that to others is an issue that I'm still working on. But yeah, this is part of my dyslexia story. I'm going to be doing more videos surrounding dyslexia and how it affects my life, my way, my path in life, whether it be from my spirituality to my hobbies to my travels. I'm going to kind of intertwine my dyslexia in how I see things in my brain, corresponding to my hobbies, and I'll have more in-depth detail of what I'm also going to do. Book reviews soon, and I'm going to be talking about tarot decks and how my dyslexia affects what tarot decks I use or what I like to pick up. Yeah, so there's a whole lot of things going on that I want to address on my channel about dyslexia in my world. Now, there is an amazing Facebook group. It is called Adult Dyslexia Support Group, I think. I'm going to post this video to that. I hope it's okay. I know they have Marketing Mondays or something like that. I might post this Monday, or I might just post it like now, and if they tell me to repost it later, it will change. But yeah, I think this video has been good for me to really process and look at my dyslexia and really put it all out there, because I've been wanting to make this video for a while, just for my own personal benefit, to document what I've gone through and where I'm going. And I'm proud of how far I've come, but there's a long way still to go. But yeah, I think the sun ain't coming up. It will probably be a couple of more hours, but yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time. If you like more videos like this, please consider liking, subscribing, hitting that little notifications bell down below, and leave a comment on if you have struggles. If you have struggles with dyslexia, or if you are struggling with something that stems from early on and is going toward adult, or something you recently found out as an adult that you realize it connect all the way back to your past. Like, tell me your story down in the comments. And yeah, thank you so much for coming along this journey with me. This is my way, Nathan's way. Bye.